Well, peace, friends. My name's Tom. I'm the pastor here at Sycamore Creek, and I'm up here with my co-host today, Jeria Wilson.
Hi!
Man, they cheered for you better than they cheered for me.
As they should.
Today, we're going to ask you to show us the money. We were handing out $100 bills in your program. We're making paper, a piece of paper.
No, I told Tom, if you do it with just one, no, hashtag not ballin'.
We're going to be talking about if this money spoke to us today, what would it say? Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the message, we're going to give you a chance to pull out a pen that's in the blue buckets and write on the money what your money's saying to you today. But before we get to that, we're talking about money, so shout out, what's your favorite thing to splurge on?
Coffee, good one.
Hair.
Main
Streets.
Funny enough for me, the thrift store.
The thrift store.
I am a thrifter, yes. Woo-hoo.
My favorite thing to splurge on is date night.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Woo-woo. Yeah,
good, right,
there
good
we go.
answer.
That's the right answer. Hey, before we get into the message and the service today, we have got the dynamic husband-wife duo up here,
Woo-hoo.
Mark and Bonnie
Yay.
Raymond, going to lead us in some singing. So I want to invite you to stand up and sing along as you feel comfortable.
Here we go. Let me turn my guitar on. Breaks the power of sin and darkness, whose love is mighty and so much stronger, the King of glory, the King above all kings, who shakes the whole earth with holy thunder and leaves us breathless in awe and wonder, the King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Who brings our chaos back into order, who makes the orphan a son and daughter, the King of glory, the King of glory, who rules the nations with truth and justice, shines like the sun in all of its brilliance, the King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Oh, this is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. For me, all that you've done for me. Hallelujah. God's amazing grace. It's so good. And we're just going to lean back in his grace and trust him. It is so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take him at his word, just to rest upon his promise, just to know thus says the Lord. Well, Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I proved him over and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. Oh, how sweet to trust in Jesus, just from sin and self to ease, just from Jesus simply taking life and health and joy and peace. Well, Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I proved him over and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. Well, I'm so glad I learned to trust him. Precious Jesus, Savior, friend, and I know that he is with me, will be with me till the end. Well, Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I proved him over and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more and more. I'll trust you. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust you, how you've saved me over and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust you more. Oh, for grace to trust you more.
Thank you, God. Thank you for the Raymonds.
So kids that are going up to Kids Creek, you can be dismissed now. Mikkel is waving in the back, welcoming you upstairs.
People may wonder why our new pastor's not up here. She's going up to Kids Creek today.
Yeah, there she
go
is.
hang with the kids. And
She's
see what they do up there.
Yes, shepherding the youth. All right, so thanks for joining us, everybody. In your programs, you will find your connection card as usual. We invite you to pull that out and to take a look at it. Start filling it out if you'd like, and we'll discuss it a little bit more later in the service. And don't forget, of course, as you're here, before the service, after the service, during the service, pull out your phone, get those selfies, and tag hashtag SCCMI. So up on the screen, you guys can see some of our selfies from Halloween last week. They were amazing. We had a real Ghostbuster in the house. Here is our runner-up for the selfie of the week, Bob Ames, with his...
Bill Ames.
Bill Ames. Sorry, Bill.
The eyebrows are
eyebrows. The kilt. He was killing it in the kilt. Looking good. But our winner for the selfie of the week was Dave Hemingway. Woo woo! Winner of the selfie of the week because not only was the costume awesome, but it also contributed to the Compassion Closet. So way to go.
There we go.
A 2-for-1. Thanks, Dave.
Bill, you would have won if you brought in some toilet paper to donate.
Next time.
There's always next year.
There's always next year. So thanks for participating. And now we'll be moving on to the message, which starts with this.
Thank you for calling Money. I'm here to give you financial advice to make your life better and you better at life. This is Money. How can I help you? Karen, what? Get out of here. Karen, we have not talked since your piggy bank days. How are you? Hello, this is Money. It's a great day to be green. Yes, the environment is important too. I was referring to green, the color of my shirt, which you cannot see, and the fact that I am the embodiment of money. I should get a better slogan. Absolutely, Kevin. I can tell you your net worth right now. It's nothing. Yeah, no, like 0.00. But listen, hey, even though you're technically worth nothing in dollars and cents, did I ever tell you how much our friendship means to me? It is this much. I don't know, Karen, at the end of the day, what's the real difference between the 10 and the 11 Pro X? Whoa, 3 lenses. We just have to tool around with your financial plan, but we can get it, all right? Yeah, your security code is 616. Oh, you just bought it just now. That was quick. Okay. Well, can we talk about your new plan? Karen? Karen, hello? It's weird as if you hung up the moment I said plan. You spent $72.34. Can I just say, that's a lot of McFlurries for any one person, you know? Listen, Sonia, I know we've been on the rocks, but I don't want to give up on us, okay? I'm just asking that you check up on me every now and again. If you don't talk to me, I can't help you. Leon, hey, oh my gosh. That's a lovely boat, man. A power boat for a power man, and that is you, buddy. Yeah, You want to buy it? That's a good joke. Oh, you're serious. Okay. Well, if we do want to go ahead with it, we're going to have to make some changes. So that probably means no more food, shelter, or water. Yeah. No, you're right. It's a gorgeous boat, just like you. Okay. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later. You bought that boat. Look, it's your money at the end of the day, but I'm just trying to give you advice to help your Washingtons become Lincolns. You feel me? And then those Lincolns can maybe one day become Hamiltons. And then those Hamiltons can become Ulysses S. Grants. That's the $50 bill. And then those Ulysses can become Benjamins. Woo, woo, woo! Oh man, Karen, you're the best. No, you are. No, you are. Man, I'm so glad we took the time to reconnect. Let's do it again sometime soon. How about tomorrow?
So if our money could talk, what would it actually say to us? I mean, and assuming that it was actually for us and not working against us, what would it say to us? And I suspect that whatever it would say, we would not be shocked. I mean, we might respond with, yeah, I know. Yeah, I should have known. Or, no, I shouldn't have bought that boat, even though I'm not going to have any shelter or food for the rest of my life. The way that we handle money is a reminder that there is something wrong with the world and maybe even wrong with us. Why don't we do what's best for us when it comes to our money? And the shocker isn't actually what our money would say. The shocker is the parallel between what our money would say and what Jesus did say about money. Jesus actually said more about money than he did about heaven. Can you believe that? He said more about money than he did about heaven. 16 of Jesus' parables, these are like the little sort of allegorical stories that he tells. 16 of 38 parables were about money and possessions. And as far as we know, Jesus never asked for any money. He wasn't doing this asking for your money. The only time that he asked for money that we know of is he asked for a coin for an illustration. Presumably he gave it back. Why did Jesus talk about money so much? I mean, he must have been up to something if he was going to talk about it that much. In fact, he was actually up to something, and it wasn't that he was trying to get your money. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in, and if money could talk, I think it would tell us this. It would say, I can add meaning to your life, but I am not the meaning of your life. I can add meaning to your life, but I am not the meaning of your life. And it would remind us that it rarely gets much attention at funerals. It would remind us that it is a better means than an end. Make money an end, and you may end up alone. Using money as a means to an end is what ends up making money meaningful. In fact, being a means to an end is what makes anything meaningful. A means is, for example, we don't usually talk about it like this in this way, using this word means, but a means is a tool. It's like a road. It's like a path to get to somewhere else. Let me give you some examples. Like a bike. You use it as a means to exercise, a means to get outside, a means to getting somewhere, to staying healthy. Or think about a car. A car is a means to get to your work. It's a means to connect with your family or friends, to show up at some place together. Or consider your phone. A phone is a means to stay connected. It's a means to getting somewhere, to creativity, but it can also become a means or an end in and of itself. And that ends up with us being lonely and isolated. So one of the things that we like to do here in our message, we like to kind of give you a chance to talk, because God doesn't just talk to me, God talks to you too. And so we want to invite you to turn to a neighbor, and here's a question for you to ponder. Being a means to an end is what makes anything meaningful. So what's something that you use as a means to another end? Like a bar, or like a bike, or a car, or maybe a bar, or a phone. Let's take some time to talk about that. All right, as Drea and I were up here looking, and I'm looking at her smiling face,
Yeah.
you got braces recently.
Yep.
Those are a means to an end.
A means to an end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some days meaner than others. But yeah, it's something I've wanted for a long time. So
To
that's
beautiful
a good
teeth,
example.
to
Right.
healthy teeth. Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
Yep.
Mark, you got to answer for this. What's something you?
Well, yeah, I use work as a means to an end. You know, a lot of people don't think about work as you sell your time and your talents to someone who's willing to pay you for those. And so that's what I do, and I use that filthy lucre to pay my debts and keep a roof over my head and food on the table, and more importantly, to go places and do things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're gonna pay you and Bonnie each $100 this morning.
That's awesome.
Don't believe him.
All right. Well, hey, we're being a little creative today, and we thought it'd be fun to shoot this next segment in a dragon's horde. So we're gonna go to me.
Dragons what?
You don't know what a dragon's horde is? It's like their hoard of treasure.
Oh, okay.
So here I am in a dragon's horde with the next segment of the message today. Being a means to an end is what makes anything meaningful. This is maybe one reason why Segway didn't catch on. Do you remember when George W. Bush fell off of a Segway on vacation? Well, James Heselden, the owner of Segway at the time, died when he rode a Segway off a 30-foot cliff and into a river. I want to laugh at the irony of that, but it's also really sad. Being a means to an end is what it means to have meaning, and it's true for you as well. If you want to live a meaningful life, you must become a means to an end that is not you. When you decide to be a means to an end, your money becomes a means rather than an end as well. You'll begin to see money as a tool. This is what Jesus taught in one of his, did he really say that? Parables. It was recorded by Luke. Jesus is talking to his disciples. There was a rich man whose manager was accused of wasting his possessions. He had too much to manage, so he hired a manager who bought and sold and traded for him. But the rich man got wind that his manager was doing deals on the side. So he called him in and he asked him, "What is this I hear about you? Give an account of your management, because you cannot be manager any longer." And the rich man fired him. But the manager was supposed to wrap up any remaining unfinished business. So the manager said to himself, "Well, what shall I do now? My master is taking away my job. I'm not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg." He's got a little time and opportunity to ensure he had somewhere to go and someone to go to when he left this position that he was getting fired from. "I know what I'll do so that when I lose my job here, people will welcome me into their houses." So he called each one of his master's debtors, and he asked the first, "How much do you owe my master?" 900 gallons of olive oil, he replied. The manager told him, "Take your bill. Sit down quickly. Listen, I've only got a little time left. We got to do this quick." 900 gallons of olive oil, he replied. The manager told him, "Take your bill, sit down quickly, and make it 450. And the people listening to the parable, and I suspect you and me, all of us, would have thought, sure, he had the authority to lower the debt, but to cut it in half? Come on! And then he asked the second, "And how much do you owe?" "And 1,000 bushels of wheat," he replied. And he told him, "Take your bill and make it 800. The implication is the manager did this over and over with everyone who owed his master. So here's a question for us to talk about. What do you think of this manager's actions? Type that in the chat. Turn to somebody next to you. Let's talk about it. Drea, you got a pretty strong reaction to this manager.
Yeah.
What do you think of his actions?
For shame. But I think it's interesting because I feel like in the role that I'm at and now in my job, and even in like my own life, I've seen quite often people that I'm close with that do these things which seem like it's going to be a solution in the short term. It's a means to a very temporary, a very short-lived end. And so some people think, I think, based on your circumstances, this is just what I have to do right now to make it to the next day, the next week, or whatever it is, not thinking about what's going to come. Is it really going to serve you in the end, this particular means that you're going about? So I think it's sad because I don't think he's thinking about the future. He's just thinking about right now, and also not doing right by other people. So
yeah. So here's what's fun: is Jesus got you there, but
Okay.
there's a plot twist. All right.
Plot twist.
So you can go ahead and grab a seat down there,
Okay.
and I'm gonna keep moving. But the master finds out, right? Like, and I think that Jeria's response is what Jesus expects you to think at this point. That this is a bad idea, what the master did. And I'm guessing that they think, and probably we think, like, this dude's going to jail. Like, it was very short-sighted, and what's happening? And here's why. If you're not familiar with this story, and that's what you thought was going to happen, you are wrong. That's not what Jesus was doing. Jesus is a master storyteller. And so he tells this story with just enough confusion, just to confuse you enough that you have to pay attention to what the point of it is. The master commended the dishonest manager. He commended him. What in the world? He commended him? Can you imagine, Sharia, commending these people? You're just doing what gets you to tomorrow. He commended him because he had acted shrewdly, is what Jesus says. The dishonest manager had thought it through from every angle and with the future in the mind. And Jesus' audience, and I suspect you are a bit confused yourself. So he pulls out of the parable and he begins to teach the lesson that he wants them and us to know. And he begins saying this: for the people of this world, that's the people who are like, their life is it. You live and you die, and that's the end of it. So the point of life is for yourself. The people of this world, Jesus says, the people of this world are more shrewd. They're more thoughtful, more forward-thinking. They are more shrewd in dealing with their kind than are the people of the light. And the people of the light. Hey, Carol, I'm going to let you follow along with me because this is just acting kind of funny up here. The people of the world, the people of the light are the covenant family of God. They are those who have a broader perspective. They assume that there is more to this life than just this life. So the money manager was commended for taking full advantage of his limited time and opportunity. So what is Jesus' point? What's his point? That his followers should take advantage of their limited time and opportunity as well. We are to use our money and wealth within this broader framework of eternity. Now, Jesus isn't talking about YOLO. You only live once. Like, party hard, because then we die. Nope, that is not what Jesus is talking about. Because Jesus leans in and he gets really specific. He says, I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourselves, so that when it is gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. How does what we do with our money during this very short period of time that we've been given affect eternity? Well, how do we know the answer to that? We trust the one who lived and died and resurrected to have eternity in sight. And according to Jesus, money is a means. It's a means. It's not an end. It's a means to an end that goes beyond us. And the implication is that our right now resources can make a forever difference. We can't take it with us, but we can have something to show for it. It's a tool. And if Jesus is right, then we should view 100% of what we have as a means to an end. We should ask this question of ourselves: how can I leverage more of what I have as a means to an end that is not me? That's not me. So here's another question for you. What's one way, I suspect you're already doing this in some places, so what's one way that you already use money as a means to an end that is not you? Let's take a minute to talk about that. So as we were talking about this before the service today, those of us who are parents here,
Yeah.
which is, I think, all of us with a microphone, our kids.
Yeah. Huge amount of money going into those
Our kids. Oh
and
my
they
gosh.
don't even appreciate it.
Carla, what did you say? How much percent of your money goes towards your kids?
I think I said 70.
70.
I don't know if that's totally, it depends on the month. What I just said to Micah and to Gretchen was that when I have extra money, that's what I spend it on. I'm like, oh, we can go and do something together as a family. I can take the kids somewhere cool, or like I can buy Gretchen a coffee or something nice.
Yeah, those of us who are parents intuitively understand this idea that we use our money for something else to benefit our kids and their future. Well, hey, let's keep going here. When Sarah and I were first married, we decided to give a percentage of our income away. But as we have become more familiar over the years with Jesus' teaching about money and the way that Bible talks about poor, we've actually shifted a little bit more away from a percentage-based idea of using our money as a means to another end towards more a lifestyle way, which this phrase, make all you can, save all you can, give all you can, comes from John Wesley. He's the founder of the Methodist Church in the 18th century. He said, he taught, make all you can in as honest of a way as possible. Honesty and ethically make as much money as you can. And then save all that you can. And by that, he didn't mean put it in a bank account. He meant live simply and frugally. And then his thought was so that you can give the rest away. Now that may be a certain percentage, or it may be a bigger percentage. Make all you can, save all you can, give all you can. Give the rest away. So the amount that Sarah and I have had to give away has sort of ebbed and flowed depending on when we were living in BC or AD. Before children or after descendants. Before children, we were dinks. Double income, no kids. Carla, we could take 70% of what we made and spend it on ourselves. But now after descendants, well, I don't know that we're at 70%, but a lot of resources gets put into this front row up here. Alongside of this way of thinking about living with our money as a means to other ends, we've also moved towards that way of thinking of that with our stuff, not hoarding our stuff. If we're not using it, we want to give it away. We want to share it with people around us. In fact, as Pastor Mikkel has been doing a listening tour with you all and listening about Sycamore Creek, that's a value that we have incorporated into this broader culture. We share our stuff here at Sycamore Creek very open-handedly with the community. Because this building, the stuff that we own, are not an ends in and of themselves. They are means to another end. And we have found, Sarah and I, that we get as much, if not more, out of sharing our stuff and our money in this way. Through the years, what we have done is we have turned our stuff into stories. We have turned our stuff into stories. And we don't miss the stuff. The stories, though, that they still get an emotional response from us years later. Now, when you're trying to decide, you make decisions about what you're going to spend your money on, you bring all kinds of things into that conversation in your head. And I think you should add this one to it. Do you want more stuff or more stories? When you're getting ready to spend that money, do you want more stuff or stories? At funerals, people tell stories. They don't display their stuff. Every time that Sarah and I walk into one of the buildings of our campuses, and we see people sitting in the cafe sharing a cup of coffee and bonding together, we realize that's part of our story. That's part of our story. When we go up into Kids Creek, like Pastor Mikkel is today, and we see the new table that we recently got up there, and we see kids sitting around it learning about Jesus and learning the stories of Jesus, that's our story. When somebody gets baptized out at Woldemar at the barn, whether it's from this campus or that campus, like Dean Roush here, he's part of our story. He's part of our story. Anytime on a Sunday morning when we celebrate what our giving has done, how it's helped support the local schools, how it's helped met emergency needs in our community, how we opened up our space for community theater groups to do their plays here, or how we've shared our kitchen at the soon-to-be Eastwood campus with local entrepreneurs to build their businesses. That's part of our story. And that's part of your story, too. We've turned stuff and money into stories. Into stories. So what do you want? You want more stuff? Or do you want more stories? Jesus' point is this. Money can add meaning to your life when you use it as a means to another end that goes beyond you. And so he continues. He says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? Now I look at this and I'm like, Jesus, what in the world are you talking about? He's like, he's added a whole bunch of things in here, like little and much and worldly wealth and true riches. What is his point? Now, let me make one thing really clear about what his point is not. And sometimes the Christian tradition has interpreted it in this way. Jesus does not mean that if you are poor, that means you have been unfaithful. Jesus does not mean that if you are poor, you have been unfaithful. Remember, Mary and Joseph, Jesus' earthly parents, were poor. And yet they were commended for their faithfulness. Jesus was poor. He was essentially a homeless, itinerant rabbi. And yet he's the only one who's ever lived without sin. Paul knew what it was to have a whole lot and knew what it was to only have trouble and suffering. And yet he faithfully planted churches all around the world. Think about St. Francis, who disavowed his worldly wealth and hung out with the poor and begged for them. And he was called a saint for it. Or Mother Teresa, who healed the poor and took on their poverty and set an example for all of us. Or the single mom who is working a third job in the fast food restaurant to faithfully provide for her family. No, friends, Jesus' point is not that if you are poor, you are unfaithful. So what is Jesus' point? His point is that money is a test. It's a test. And like the money manager, if we have a little money for a short amount of time, it is a test for how we will use it. What we do indicates what kingdom we belong to. Do we belong to the kingdom of this world or the kingdom of light? Are we concerned most with the bookended kingdom of this world, like it's bookended when you're born and when you die, or everything else outside of that? Now, if money is a test, most of us have failed that exam at one point or another. But here's the good news, okay? Like, it's not a test you only took once. It's a test that you take every single time you make a decision about how you're going to spend your money. You get a new chance every single day to ace this test. So Jesus continues. He says, and if you have not been trustworthy with somebody else's property, who will give you property of your own? And now he's introduced a whole other topic here. Somebody else's property? What are you talking about, Jesus? Well, if your money, if that $100 bill in your program could talk, it would confirm what Jesus said. It'll say, I'll still be here when you're gone. The moment you think you own me is when I own you. You know how you can get so much stuff that instead of you owning the stuff owns you? Anybody whose parent has died and had to work through the stuff in their house knows the truth of that statement. Micah, remember that and tell me that regularly, all right? As I get older. You don't want to go through all my stuff when I die. We, like the money manager in the parables, are managers of our stuff and our money. We are not owners. And so if you're going to leave it, clearly you are only managing it. And who are you managing it for? Now, if you're here today and you're thinking, well, I am just like a product of stardust. I'm only an accident of evolution. By the way, I believe in evolution. It's just not all of the story. Or if you just don't know, like if you're agnostic, then I don't know how to answer the question of who you're managing it for. If, however, you believe that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth and everything in them, and assigned humanity, you and me, to care for it, then God has given each one of us a little time and a little bit of creation to manage. So Jesus would say, manage it well and don't get confused. If our money could talk, I think it would remind us, I'm a means and not an end. I'm a tool and a test. I can add meaning to your life, but I'm not the meaning of life. So where do we start with living differently about that? I think we start by answering a question that most people never stop to ask. It's a question that has nothing to do with money, yet it has everything to do with money. If being a means to an end is what gives your life meaning, to what ends do you want your life to be a means? What ends? What do you want people to celebrate about you? What stories do you want them to tell about you at your funeral? What breaks your heart that you actually did something about in this world? What do you want people to line up and thank you for at the end of your life. Now here's what, if you don't decide, your appetites will decide for you. Your desires will decide for you. I told you that the thing that I splurge on is date night. I could always use a little more money to have a little nicer date night. And it's not because I'm thinking about like making sure that Sarah has a better glass of wine for that night. I'm thinking about myself in that moment. Your appetites will answer the question for you. So what ends do you want your life to be a means? Accumulation, consumption, upgrades, being fashion forward, a house full of stuff? You know, nobody chooses these things on purpose. Nobody wants to have said at their funeral, she ate, she drank, she was merry, and then she died. That's not a legacy. That's a life poorly lived. When you answer the big question about what you want your life to be about, your money will follow. And until you answer the big question, you may just end up following your money. And that would be a shame. Live for yourself, and you'll only have yourself to show for yourself, along with some stuff for people to fight over when you're gone. So consider this in preparation for next week. If being a means to an end is what gives life meaning, to what ends do I want my life to be a means? When you identify and embrace the meaning of your life, your money becomes a means as it was intended to be. Now, Luke tells us that as Jesus finished this story, the Pharisees who loved money heard all and were sneering at Jesus. Do you know any of their names? I don't either. So that's where we're going to pick up next week. Right now, though, let's pray. God, with all of our stuff, with all of our money, we confess that we have not always been the best managers of it. Whether it's a little bit of money that just gets us through the end of the day, or it's a lot of money that we ought to share around. Give us today the courage to answer the big questions in life about what we want our money, what we want our lives to aim at, so that our money can follow. We ask all this in the name of Jesus and the power of your Spirit, and all who agreed said, Amen. Amen. Hey, we don't just follow Jesus alone. It's not just a one-on-one game. It is a game that we do all together, connecting. And so here's some ways that you can connect with us this week.
Hey there, it's me, your money, and we're going to talk about the announcements and all the amazing things we can do together this week. Did you know that connecting at Sycamore Creek is totally free? All you have to do is go to sycamorecreekchurch.org/connect and fill out a connection card. We can take a next step together and do some journaling. We can go to a birthday party. I hear there are free appetizers. Or we can spend me on household items that your neighbors need, like deodorant, toothpaste, and tissues for the Compassion Closet this November. Like our Halloween selfie contest winner at Sycamore Creek, who dressed as the Brawny Man but doubled as a Compassion Closet donation. We can even get together to talk about me at a financial town hall Thursday, November 10th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. on Zoom. Join on Zoom to talk about remodeling costs and plans, answering questions, and preparing for a church conference vote later in December. Oh gosh, I love that word. Free! Sycamore Creek's 22nd birthday is here! Happy birthday, Sycamore Creek! We're getting together to celebrate Sunday, November 13th, 7 p.m. at Buddy's with free appetizers! Yay! We're all preparing our hearts, our wallets, and our building for Christmas, especially Sunday, November 20th with the hanging of the greens. grace us with your Christmas presents as we spruce up the building to get everything in peppermint condition on Sunday, November 20th, following worship. Oh, and here's a challenge for you this week. Be a Kids Creeker. Mark on your connection card to sign up to volunteer in Kids Creek at sycamorecreekchurch.org/connect. Your giving makes everything possible at Sycamore Creek. Head to sycamorecreekchurch.org/give to give online. This has been Your Money with the announcements this week. Let's take it back to the studio and see what we've made possible together this week.
Hey, Drea, today is our church's 22nd birthday. 22 years ago was the first service that our church had.
It's amazing.
Our founding pastor is in the room, Pastor Barb Flory. Barb, we are grateful that you gave birth to this community 22 years ago. Thank you so much. We tried to celebrate our 20th birthday, but COVID. We tried to celebrate our 21st birthday,
But
COVID. So we have finally gotten around to celebrating our 22nd birthday. Next Sunday, we hope that you will come back and join us at Buddy's in the evening. We're going to have free appetizers, and you got to buy your own meal or drinks or whatever you want. But we're just going to party like we're 22. We're not old enough yet to rent a car.
No.
There's lots of other things we can do. We can vote, we can die for our country, we can drink, but we can't rent a car.
It's okay.
Hey, take out your connection card, check one of those next steps, and take a next step this week. Don't just hear what we're talking about today, do something about it. And also, we want to celebrate the giving that our church does, particularly in Christmas. We have a Christmas offering challenge that we always make every year to give away as much as you spend on yourself at Christmas. Give away as much. And last year, over $34,000 came in our Christmas offering. That is amazing.
Great job.
And so we have been busy giving that money away this year with our care ministries, our local missions, our global missions. And one of those is we really support our local schools. And one of those schools my kids now go to, which we decided to send them there because our church had this long commitment to it. So they're here for the first time, but they have a new principal, Principal Danielle Bowden, and I got the chance to sit down with her this week and talk about what impact that giving and that commitment has been to them and that school. So here's Principal Bowden.
My name is Danielle Bowden, and I'm the principal of Mount Hope here in the Lansing School District. We are now at a transitional school. We were granted an opportunity to get a brand new building, so for the next 2 years, we will be here at Wood Creek Lane, but now we call it Mount Hope, the new home of Mount Hope. Pastor Tom and Sycamore Creek have truly been an asset for Mount Hope, whether it's through prayer, whether it's through volunteerism. It has just been an ultimate pleasure to work with them. I remember at the beginning of the year, they had volunteers come in and help the teachers in transition into their classrooms, which was much appreciated. I just find Pastor Tom's heart so large, and Sycamore Creek, they've just been a blessing to myself. They've been a blessing to our school, and I truly do look forward to continuing that partnership. It has been a huge asset here at Mount Hope. I love the fact that there are individuals who care enough about teachers, care enough about Mount Hope, that they want to invest in us, and they want us to be a great school for all students. So that means a lot, because every person who contributes, they're also helping out our kids. I worshiped with you all in August, and you blessed me, and that meant so much. The prayers, once again, that meant the world to me and encouraged me. Just having Pastor Tom here, and I know this isn't about Pastor Tom, but just having him around, he has been such a godsend to me, and I've shared this with him on multiple occasions. He has just been so awesome. I'm just blessed to know him, blessed to know his family. It is such an honor that Pastor Tom wanted his sons to come to Mount Hope. That really meant a lot to me. And I just thank Sycamore Creek for wanting to be a part of our journey and working with us. And I ask that you continue to pray for us as we go through our daily up and downs, but I definitely know change is coming. I know that things will get better. I know that through your assistance that you will be a part of us becoming a great school for this community. So thank you so much, Sycamore Creek. Thank you, Pastor Tom. Thank you, First Lady Sarah, for all that you do. And we will continue to work together for a greater Mount Hope.
Hey.
Just in case sending my kids to the school wasn't enough, I volunteer there on a regular basis. I'm going to be asking all of you to volunteer with me. And just in case that wasn't enough, this week Sarah started as the secretary. My wife, First Lady Sarah Arthur, started as the secretary at Mount Hope. She's going to be inviting and asking all of you, telling you to volunteer in the office with her. So here's the point, though. We couldn't do all this work without the Christmas offering. So be prepared. Be prepared. I mean, that's part of this question. What do you want your life to be a means to? This sort of story or something else?
Right.
We're going to sing one more song to wrap it up. Would you stand and join as we do that?
I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like. Oh, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me what you're pleased in, that I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. When I see many searching for answers, far and wide, oh, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, and you do just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. And you're perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, this love so undeniable, I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable, I can hardly think, and you call me deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love, love, love. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. Loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am.
So in your program was a $100 bill. It's fake. Don't try to spend this. You might get arrested. But your money's maybe saying something to you today. Take that Sharpie that's in the blue bucket. What do you need to remember today? What's your money saying to you? Write it on that piece of money. Put that in your wallet, put it in your pocket, and let your money speak to you. Let God speak to you through your money this week. Friends, let's hang out in the cafe together. I hope you'll stick around. Next week, we're going to continue this series with If Money Spoke. Send me away is what your money would say. So until then, be curious, be creative, be compassionate, and peace out.